Welcome to the Trash Cats Trash Cats. Yeah. God damn it. We did this to ourselves. Trash Cats not Trash Cats dash Trash Cats. Fuck. Welcome to the Trash Cats Trash Cast. I'm Richard.
I'm Steven.
Today we're going to talk about death and the afterlife. But first, how was your week?
Dude, very excited about this topic. My week's been okay. Honestly, I feel like it's hard to believe it's been a week since we recorded. I feel like time's just like flying lately.
Yeah, absolutely. As much as I look forward to it, it's definitely fun to... it seems like it creeps up all of a sudden. It's like, oh shit, okay, cool, let's go, let's do it. Fuck yeah.
Yeah, man. So I feel like my week's been pretty chill, productive, just working on art, school, and doing this. So it was a chill week on my end. How about you?
Same. A little bit less pressure going on at work right now. It's been a little bit slower, unfortunately, but that's how she goes. But we got a lot of prep done, and we're kind of sitting pretty right now. So
Nice.
life's not too bad.
Oh yeah, I did want to mention last week you were correct about the Jesuits.
Goddamn right I was.
Yep, they are their own group, but they are still part of the Catholics. So.
I mean, if I was wrong, it would have meant that Wikipedia was wrong, because that's exactly where I got the information from.
Hell yeah. You got any honorable mentions before we get into it?
In fact, so this week, in particular, I wanted to talk about, I want to give a shout out to Run Button, the Run Button podcast. You can find them on YouTube or Twitch, or wherever you find podcasts at. They also do Let's Plays of video games. They did like 20 years of Sonic and 30 years of Mario. They did, they're on Silent Hill Homecoming. They're doing all the Silent Hill games. Well, I'm not sure if they're actually committed to doing all of them, but they are working on it. So they do a bunch of other stuff. This last year they started doing a cool format that I haven't seen anyone else do, where they do a weekly live recording of an hour worth of podcast, and then an hour worth of video game, some game or whatever. Sometimes it's a little longer. But all in one, like, live stream thing that they do weekly, which is pretty
cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. They had a fundraiser a couple weeks ago, and I had donated some money to the fundraiser, and then my rent check hit on the same date, so the payment didn't go through, and then I saw that it didn't go through because my bank told me so, so I sent another payment, and then the original payment sent again. It retried. I didn't know Venmo would retry the payment, so it did that. And then I had to go to these wonderful people that I've been listening to for many years, and I had to say, hey, you know how I just gave you that money? Can you give it back, though? Can you give me some of it back? And they were super cool about it. Really awesome people. Definitely go check them out. Keith and Kylie at Run Button Podcast on YouTube and Twitch.
Yeah, that's super cool of them. That's really funny though.
So, I already know you got some.
Yeah, man. I got lost in the sauce again. So we're gonna do a couple at the beginning and then a couple more at the end. We're gonna start with the ones that these kind of directly relate to our afterlife topic. So if you want to check that first link out,
doing it.
This shit is so fucking metal.
Oh, actually, I know about this guy already.
You saw this one?
Yeah, I've seen this one.
Man builds guitar out of dead uncle's skeleton and uses it to play black metal.
Yeah.
So fucking cool. It looks so gnarly.
Yeah, I definitely it looks sick as fuck. I did read in the article that, like, you can't do like strumming with it because the
full strumming. Yeah.
Because the where you would strike the strings is inside of the rib cage.
So good.
It's fucking brutal.
And it's his uncle Flip.
Yeah.
Is it Flip or Philip? I think it's Philip now that I'm looking at it. But I thought it was Flip at first, and that made me laugh.
Yeah, it's fucking gorgeous. I like that he's, so he built it. He's got the cords, the electrical wires running through it, it's, a red and a blue cable. It looks like, veins.
Yeah.
It's really smart.
So brutal. And yeah, he was playing on YouTube. He's playing, let's see, his YouTube thing is Prince Midnight, and he covers Dark Throne's Transylvanian Hunger. And he sounds pretty good too. But I thought that was a super cool one. Next one, if you check the second one, this isn't new, but with Afterlife stuff. So Hunter S. Thompson's remains were shot into space from a cannon.
That's pretty fucking wild.
Dude, it's wicked. So some people said that his ashes were crystallized, and I'm not quite sure about that part, but they built this big tower, 15-story tower modeled after Thompson's logo, and Johnny Depp put on this event, and there was like Bill Murray and some other random people were there, and they were drinking a bunch of liquor and shot his ashes into space with fireworks and shit. And I think that's so fitting to him. There were if people don't know, he's the dude that did Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas and a bunch of other cool shit. Heavy drug addict, and really fought for psychedelic drugs and shit. Very cool dude.
Yeah, what a fucking way to go.
Yeah.
That's a really it's super neat, super original.
Yeah. Johnny Depp had a quote in this article from ESPN. I don't know why the fuck ESPN has an article on this, but
yeah.
Johnny Depp said, "We talked a couple of times about his last wishes to be shot out of a cannon of his own design. All I'm trying to do is to make sure his last wish comes true. I just want to send my pal out the way he wants to go out." And I think that is a beautiful sentiment. Some of the dude's closest friends kind of felt like it was a cheesy, like, Hollywood production, and it kind of wasn't as authentic as he would have wanted. But the idea of just honoring his legacy and sending him to fucking space is beautiful.
Yeah, he's already got a mark in history for his writing and his work, but I think that kind of I feel like it does fit the bill.
Yeah.
Of what he was kind of about,
It's a great way to end his story.
It's flashy in an unexpected and unpredictable kind of way.
Right. Did you ever read that article, the Rolling Stone one about Johnny Depp that came out like last year or whatever? It was 2 years ago.
No.
Brutal, dude. I've never read an interview quite like that, because this dude goes to interview Johnny Depp, and he stays with him for like a week or two, and he basically pretends to be his friend and then writes this, like, it's like a 10-page article about how out of control his life was. And
I did hear about that. I didn't read it though.
It was that big of a deal it was wrote very well, and it was dark, very, like, I don't give a shit about whether he's doing good or bad, but as like an experiment,
I mirror that. So
as like an experiment about writing, it is very interesting. And then got one more. This third link: biodegradable burial pods that turn your body into a tree.
This I've definitely seen this before.
So fucking beautiful.
Yeah, I think this is what I would want.
Right? It's such a cool way to do this. Like, their whole thing is about environmental waste, but it's this company, Capsula Mundi, which is world's capsule in Latin, and it's an egg-shaped organic casket that's suitable for ashes too. And the idea is that they believe death is closely related to consumerism, as is life, and their goal is to create cemeteries full of trees rather than tombstones, reduce waste, and create new life out of death.
Yeah, I think so. I think the entire funeral and like ceremonial, death industry is so fucked up.
It's terrible.
The cost to, I mean, burying someone is outlandishly expensive. I mean, even cremation, I feel like there's, because even when they do, it's like, well, here are these nice, pretty urns, and here are these, all these, jewelry and shit you can do, get with it. And it's like my grandpa just died. Like, can we not right now?
It's so predatorial.
Yeah. And it's like you're already dealing with so much other stuff, especially if you're like, dealing with like the loss of like, someone you love, or, your parents, or, something like that. It's like, there's like you said, it's predatorial. It's a never ending cycle of people that need or are looking for this service, looking for help with this situation. Because, like, what the fuck do you do?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's really fucked up. I think, situations like this are a much better solution than burying people in a expensive ass box.
Yeah,
that's then surrounded by concrete and shit too. It's like let the body return to the earth.
Yeah. So last one it's just real quick. It's just a picture that's been going around on the internet. It's this old woman's final wishes. I guess it seems like she was dying in some way, and her final wish was to go to this art museum and look at this painting. And this photo of her looking at it, and she's in a hospital bed wheeled to the painting. It's just beautiful. I just love this.
Yeah.
We'll definitely be sharing that on our Instagram and stuff.
Some of the few things in life that, especially lately, that make you go like, give you some kind of hope, or make you think like the people that organize this are the the few good people left.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm not even crazy about the painting. It's a romantic painting of just a couple, but it's not. Part of what I like is I don't find that painting special, or like super unique, but it obviously meant a lot to her, and she wanted to see it before she go. It likely reminded her of another person or a time in her life or something, and it's so beautiful just to have that moment captured.
Yeah, have some kind of like you said, someone's final wishes. That's huge to have something like that that's obtainable, in a way that maybe they couldn't have done it on their own, but yeah, wow. So I know you said we're gonna have a couple more at the end of the episode, right?
Yeah.
So let's get excuse me, let's get straight into the topic. So first we got a as we usually do with kind of research stuff, we got a kind of a pull from Wikipedia as just a quick understanding of what we're talking about.
Yeah.
I like this. Stephen, you found this definition of death.
It was a good one. I know, because I can't pronounce that word.
Oh, okay, got you. So the definition, death is defined as a permanent cessation of all vital functions, the end of life.
That wasn't even a hard word.
No, that's okay. It looks shittier than it is.
Yeah.
So the afterlife, also referred to as life after death, the world to come, or reincarnation, is an existence in which the essential part of an individual's identity or their stream of consciousness continues to live after the death of their physical body. According to various ideas about the afterlife, the essential aspect of the individual that lives on after death may be some partial element or the entire soul or spirit of an individual, which carries with it and may confer personal identity or, on the contrary, nirvana. Belief in an afterlife is in contrast to the belief in oblivion after death. In some views, this continued existence takes place in a spiritual realm, and in other views, the individual may be reborn into this world and begin the life cycle over again, likely with no memory of what they have done in the past. In the latter view, such rebirths and deaths may take place over and over again continuously, until the individual gains entry to a spiritual realm or other world. Major views on the afterlife derive from religion, esotericism, and metaphysics. Some belief systems, such as those in the Abrahamic tradition, hold that the dead go to a specific plane of existence after death, as determined by God or other divine judgment, based on their actions or belief during life. In contrast, in systems of reincarnation, such as those in the Indian religions, the nature of the continued existence is determined directly by the actions of the individual in the ended life.
You read that really well.
I fucked up the last 3 words, so I'll take it.
Hell yeah. So we wanted to first talk about some of these ideas, and then we're going to kind of get into our own thoughts about the afterlife and stuff.
So there are so many, I feel like there are so many different variations of a lot of the same idea.
Yeah, and that's what makes it so fun, is there's it's basically no one fucking knows, so you can make it whatever the fuck you want.
Right.
And there's been some really cool different versions of that, you know?
Yeah. I at least from what I know, I feel like it's easiest to kind of break it into a category of, you know, what the afterlife consists of. And usually it's either the reincarnation or like a heaven and hell, like, you know, an eternal ending state.
Yeah, it seems like it's either your soul goes to a plane of existence, or you like become a different version of yourself.
You reduce, reuse, recycle.
Those seem to be the big 2 distinctions in a lot of these.
And, you know, it's especially with certain things, there's, I mean, even within, reincarnation beliefs, that there's a lot about like, it's not so much, I'm not sure if it would be so much like a punishment, but it's just the, you're put into a new position based on how your last one went.
Your karma.
Yeah, your karma.
Yeah.
And it's, I mean, even in the ancient Egyptian religion, they had the, you know, you go through and don't you have to, you go through like multiple times before you go through life. When you die, then you go to a different world, and then you have to get through that world, and then once you're through that one, then
you get to your afterlife.
Yeah,
of some sort. Yeah,
your soul is weighed on a scale against a feather, and right. You either get devoured or you get to go to paradise.
Yeah. I was talking to Sarah last night about reincarnation stuff, and I really like the idea that, like you said, some people see it as a punishment or a reward thing, but I really like the idea of like if you were hurting really bad in this life, and then your next life, maybe you're a very similar person, but your pain is so much worse that in your next life you inherently have some sort of understanding of that your pain maybe in that first life wasn't what you thought it was. Like, even if, you know, that you gain strength in ways you don't understand. Or,
kind of like a humbling.
Yeah. I really like that because it's the idea that we're always changing and evolving.
Yeah.
Based on our actions.
Yeah. I do like that in the, you know, the Buddhism religion. You know, they talk about the monks that devote their lives to trying to find this, you know, eternal, you know, peace, this inner peace with everything and everyone, and you know, all walks and, you know, aspects of life that they can't control. And I think it's a beautiful way.
It's outstanding.
I think they definitely can go too far. Like the depriving yourself of, certain happinesses or certain things with the idea that you would gain a more ultimate happiness through
Right.
it, you know.
Or total pacifism. I think
Yeah.
that's a great example. Like, I think the ideals are outstanding, but I don't know, especially the world today, they're not, they don't always make sense to me either. Like,
Yeah.
I think life also is about balance, that we need to wage war as much as we need peace.
Yeah. I feel
I'm
like
very anti-war in general,
yeah.
but
I feel like there's an important part about life that I've learned is, you have to stand up for yourself. You have to be there and protect yourself and put yourself first, because I mean, like you're going to have loved ones and whatever that are going to be there, but they can't always be right by your side all the time. And they're not always going to have everything that that you need to help you with, because they have their own things going on. So you have to put yourself first. And, if you can't stand up for yourself, then, I guess it's just, but that's also because of, I don't believe in reincarnation. So,
right.
I
But
guess
then
if you believe that, it's worth the payoff for some reason, then I guess, sure.
Yeah. I like the idea that maybe if you're the type of person who naturally can't stand up for yourself, then maybe you come back as the type of person who does, and that teaches you how,
Yeah.
Reincarnation by far is the most attractive or like romantic of these concepts to me.
Yeah. I think if I resonate with it more than definitely any kind of heaven or hell philosophy. I don't.
It's garbage.
Well, because we'll get into this more in a little bit, but it's like, what is heaven? Like, what is heaven to you versus heaven for me? It's not going to be the same thing.
In my heaven, you're in hell.
Right.
I mean, it's just so like juvenile, like the whole idea of eternal happiness or eternal punishment. Like, who the fucking designed this? Like an angry 2-year-old? It's like, I don't know. I can't imagine thinking that you could ever be happy forever without any negative things, or that you could hurt forever either.
Yeah. I think about, when I think about heaven and hell, I think about Biggie Smalls. I think about it don't make sense going to heaven with the goody goodies dressed in white. I like black Tims and black hoodies.
That's funny, man. Did you, as a kid, what did you believe in? Like, I think we were both taught heaven.
Yeah, so I grew up. Most of my family was religious. They all grew up Catholic on my mom's side, at least. My parents didn't like. I never went. Like I went to church with my cousin a couple times, but other than that, like they didn't make me go to church, or they encouraged me to learn about religion, but not to follow them. So I kind of felt like I believed in God for a while, and then I started questioning that around like 10 or between 10 and 12, I think, is when I decided I was at least agnostic, if not atheist. Mm-hmm. And then I think one of the final stones in the coffin for that was the heaven, the afterlife thing, was thinking like, but what is heaven? Like, what, it was exactly what I said. Like, what is, like, what my heaven can't be the same as someone else's heaven, because someone else has different interests and ideals. And like, I don't want to go somewhere where, there's, it's just bingo on Tuesdays and, real chill. And like that's not the life I want to live. That's not my idea of paradise. Like, I want to do rad shit, and I want to do hood rat shit with my friends,
Fuck yeah.
So that was one of the big stones in the coffin for me, or nails in the coffin. You don't put stones in a coffin. I mean, I guess you could.
Somebody does.
What are bones after someone's died? But just stones.
Yeah.
Made of calcium and minerals.
So were those? I always feel bad for people. That's not the right word. I have sympathy for people who their beliefs in the afterlife are informed by a death. I think if you have to address those questions after someone's died, opposed to addressing them before, like sometimes that's just an age thing, but I think a lot of people question these things at a hard time.
Yeah, and I think, it's because that's really what all of this is, the really the pondering of the afterlife is, I mean, some of it's about like, well, what happens when, like, what's going to happen to me? I guess some of it's that, but a lot of it is like, what happened to my grandma, like what happened to my loved ones, kind of thing, so it's definitely a grieving, process, much like religion in general, to think about, I hope they're in they're in a better place, or they're not, they don't have pain anymore, something like that, it puts you in a better headspace and makes it easier to deal with, the loss. So, but yeah, someone coming to grips with that, or having to, face those thoughts for the first time after having lost somebody, it definitely puts you in a different headspace, and, can obfuscate the, I guess the truths of the matter versus the feelings of the matter.
Yeah, definitely. I think most of the afterlife stuff, it's all fear based. I mean, it's meant to be our like biggest fear for a reason. It's a survival mechanism.
Right.
But I also don't understand why it's viewed so negatively. Like, we come up with like positive afterlife experiences like heaven because it's calming, but why is the idea of just being gone such a negative by itself?
Yeah. I want to say it was a Socrates thing. I can't say quote because I don't remember the quote, but the idea was that, with death, there are two possibilities. One is that, it's, you go to an afterlife and, you are, in the end, you are in the clear. You're done with life on the planet, and you go off into a thing, and it's out of your hands. You have no control over it. The other one is, you die and then it's nothing. There's you just sleep. There's nothing. So
that dirt nap.
Yeah. So I guess I think what it more was is like you go to sleep either way, and one you dream and the other one you don't.
I like that.
Something like that. So it's like, so why worry about it? Why be upset? Why let it upset you when you don't have control over it, and it's not going to make a difference? There's nothing you can do that'll make it better one way or the other. Even if you could control it,
right?
These are your two options.
Well, part of what makes it all so interesting is I think a lot of people feel that way, but by controlling the narrative of the afterlife, you control people's actions. It's True. Become a way for, religions to claim power over people's choices through campaigns of fear. It's just like hell is just like a fear propaganda.
You know how you never heard about this God before? Now that you have to worship him, or you're going to go to hell. You're going to burn for forever. And everyone that lived here and died here before we got here and told you about him, they're all burning in hell because they didn't worship him.
Right.
Or at least they're in purgatory.
Yeah. I love the idea of purgatory. I think that is by far more interesting than heaven or hell.
So I guess from what I know about purgatory, I feel like it's just the catch-all of like, well, what if, my, my little brother was born and, or he died a week after he was born, and you're telling me like my baby brother went to hell because he wasn't baptized? And it's like, well, they go to purgatory because, and it's like, it's a scapegoat. At least I feel like that's how it's used.
I think it often is, but it's meant to be a place where you basically continue living in a form till you prove where you should go. Whether you deserve to go to heaven, like you make up for your sins and eventually make it into heaven, or you're damned and go to hell, and you go through this, like, it's often been referred to as a cleansing fire. I really like, do you remember Spirited Away?
Yeah.
I love, and that's from, I forget which religion that's from, but the idea of purgatory as a train station where you're just waiting on the next train for it, and it never comes, and you just have to grow, evolve or devolve, you know? It's beautiful.
So you had mentioned earlier before we started recording the difference between limbo and purgatory.
Yeah.
Could you expound on that?
Honestly, I didn't understand it quite as well. It seems like limbo was more of a thing in the Middle Ages, and it was never formally recognized by the Catholic Church, but it was often thought about as a place for like unbaptized but innocent souls, dead children, places that it seemed like that was more of the catch-all than purgatory. You know what I mean? And in limbo, you're just kind of like stuck.
Yeah,
forever.
I guess the way that if I understand it right, talking with a friend of mine that's Catholic, I said, so the idea is like I die, and then, I go and I show up and I get judged, right? And then God's there, and it's like, oh, it's like obviously upon proof of God, upon, of seeing and understanding God, obviously I would go, okay, yeah, there's God. I see you. Yeah, I mean, I guess I'll worship you. Yeah, sure, you're God. I get it.
And St. Peter lets you in the holy gates.
Right. Like that's, but then they're like, no, you wouldn't go straight to heaven if you lived a life of sin. You'd go to purgatory, and then eventually you could like get into, heaven. And it was like, that's crazy to me. Like I guess to me, that's a cop-out answer of like, even that's saying like, the sickest mass, serial killing piece of shit, rapist fucker, like they can still have a chance.
Yeah. As long as they repent, their mortal sins were forgivable. And all the different Christian groups are different, because some believe you go no matter what. As long as some groups you have to be, you have to repent, and other groups just believe everyone has goodness in them and will go to heaven at some point. I think it's all different, and God, the idea that everybody gets in, like, what kind of a spineless religion are you?
Yeah. I mean,
like, if you're gonna be pieces of shit, at least be
where's
pieces of shit with conviction.
Yeah, where's the consequences, guys? Come on.
Right. Exactly.
Where's the hellfire? Bring it.
Now, do you know, so pretty much any mortal sin can be forgiven, but do you know the one sin that no matter what, in Catholicism, no matter what, it can never be forgiven and you can never go to heaven?
Is it something that's extremely outdated and sad?
Kind of.
What is it?
You all it is you can't reject the Holy Spirit. So if you just say there's no Holy Ghost, you don't believe in the Holy Spirit, you go to hell no matter what forever.
Oh, damn, dude, I'm fucked.
Yep. No Holy Ghost.
That's what, like, even upon meeting them, even upon showing up and they're like, this is it. We're here. I'm Jesus. And this is my dad. And then you show up and you're like, oh, shit, you were real, dog. I'm sorry. I didn't believe in you because I didn't understand, but I see you here and you're looking at me and I can see you. Like,
but I still don't believe in ghosts.
Yeah, exactly. Like, but after that, like, I mean, okay, so there are definitely people that when faced, with new information, they don't change their mind, but because those people are fucking stupid. But, I don't, it's, like I said, the heaven and hell thing is fucking stupid to me. It doesn't make sense. I understand it. I shouldn't say it doesn't make sense. I understand it. I just don't think it's logical in any sense to believe that. I mean, it's, we're talking about, something that we have no knowledge on, but there's no, it's the thing where, it's an atheist quote, but the guy says, why can't I just believe the garden is pretty without believing that there's fairies in it?
I like that. Yeah.
You can look at something, you can look at, this idea of afterlife and, whether it's just your soul resonating and, in some way the frequencies or, your body gives back to the soil and, you're reborn anew from that. Like that's a beautiful thing. It doesn't have to be, the land in the sky or the land down below.
I heard someone recently describe it as like people fucking love fantasy, like Gandalf, fucking Harry Potter, like fucking Jesus, the desert wizard, like people
the desert wizard.
It's the damn desert wizard. He was the first wizard.
He was.
Like people want to believe in magic shit. Like it's that fucking simple. Like the people. Oh man, it's so shitty when like you like someone, you respect them, whether it's a family member or whatever, and you find out they believe in these things. And so I can very easily accept the idea of that I'm wrong. Like I don't know for sure what's going to happen. Maybe there is a heaven or hell, but the people that are sure it exists because they have this illness called faith, I can never fully respect someone that feels sure of something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like how do they know? No one else fucking knows. How can you say you're sure you're going to go to heaven or hell or that it exists? It's nonsense.
I would like to mention for a moment that there is you mentioned that Jesus was the first wizard, but actually I want to say there were two different stories of a god deity figure that was like Jesus, that in particular, like that were like born on the 25th of December and
dude, there's like
born of a virgin mother. Yeah, like there's it's a story passed down and retold many times and translated so many different times. So like
of pagan holidays.
Yeah.
What's that old movie that was like the shit when it came out?
Ghostbusters.
What's the other one? Zeitgeist.
Oh yeah.
It was like such a knowledge drop, but then like halfway in, it gets like equally as absurd and dry as shit. But that was they had some good stuff in it too.
Yeah.
Now there's like 30 versions of them, and Alex Jones is producing.
I had a long going argument with someone I knew years ago, and they were the conveniently Christian kind of person where they were, when it did them well in a conversation to be Christian, they would bring it up. But otherwise they were a really shitty person. They'd steal from people and brag about it and stuff like that. And they were just fucked up.
Right.
But they were, I tried to tell them like, oh no, Easter is a pagan holiday. And they were like, no, it's not. It's about the revival of Christ. And I said, no, it's based on a Christian holiday. They might celebrate the revival of Christ on that day, but it was a Christian holiday. It came from the god Astor, and it was pronounced Aster, and British areas where they pronounced words that way because they had the A-E thing. So it's Easter, but it's about fertility. It's spring. It's like the spring thing, and that's why all the bunnies and the eggs. And they were like, no, it's like, what the fuck does Jesus have to do with bunnies and eggs and shit? That has nothing to do with the same thing.
Absolutely nothing.
Like, they took it over so that they could control people.
Dude, that reminds me of that. We were going to do a deeper dive one of these days, but the mushroom religion shit, where, like, the first religions, there's a lot of speculation that religion evolved from psychedelic experiences where people get together and it's not the body of Christ, it's the mushrooms being broken out and we all trip together. That's communion. Yeah. But Christmas, there's one particular book most of this comes from that it's kind of controversial, but it's also been accepted by a lot of the scientific community, and I don't remember the name of it, but that Santa, I forget what culture, where did Santa come from?
I thought it was a German thing.
I know it's near Europe, but I'm not sure if it was German or not, but the idea that it was based off a pagan holiday, and the reason he comes through the chimney is because he can't get caught because, like, drugs were basically not acceptable, and it was Santa coming down your chimney to distribute the mushrooms to the community on that holiday that was banned.
Oh, that's pretty wild.
Yeah, and that one I think that's not as concrete as like the Easter, but there's a lot of reasons why. Like, different things exist today that aren't what they started out as,
Yeah.
We all want to believe in magic.
Yeah, ain't that the fucking truth?
Now, what about let's take it back. What about Islamic stuff? 72 virgins.
So my understanding of the Islamic culture and the Islamic religion is
it's symbolic, right?
The 72 virgins?
Yeah, I've heard it both ways.
I'm actually that one I don't know.
Okay.
I feel like I've also heard it both ways, but I'm surprised by how many people don't understand that that Christianity, and Islam and Judaism all have the same God. It's the same God. It's a different, who is the Messiah of, who is the prophet that it's spoken, the word of God that really differs. And that's like there are many other differences, but like it's minor differences compared to like, that's the main, separation, or the reason for separation of ideas. So at least from what I understand that, Islam also has its own idea of heaven and hell. Or, at least, an afterlife in which you're judged on, how closely you stuck to the religion, how you lived. So, I have trouble, I guess, separating those, especially those three.
They're so different, but it's just different flavors of the same thing. Like I feel like especially like white Christian America thinks of Islam and Judaism, whatever. They think of them as so different from Christianity, and it's like, or that they're lesser religions. They're not as real. They're as possible. They're evil. They're just terrorist shit. And it's like, how the fuck is it any different?
Yeah,
right.
No, it's still there's a heaven. There's still a hell. We call it different words, but that's what it is. There are still the ideas that you're on Earth as a test to show not only your faith, but like the way that you act, upon yourself and on others, and then you get, once you die, you go and you get judged for how you worked. And like, it's the same thing. It's just monotheism. And like you said, a different flavor. I like, that phrasing, but it's all the same shit.
Right.
The monotheism. That's the other one, is like, as far as religions go, I think the closer thing to having any kind of validity in my mind is the polytheism, and like ancient, Nordic and Greek and Roman shit, but like even more particular, like in Native American culture, there is a lot of, it's just like, it's the earth spirit, or, it's the water, it's, different shit like that, where it's like, these are the things that give us life and give us, sustenance. And like, these are the things that are important to us to survive. So we, worship those things.
They say God, like, is something greater than and outside of yourself. And something like the spirit of the earth is like a realistic view of what that could be. Like, to me, that makes sense. I don't see myself as spiritual, but I can understand spiritualism when it's put in that kind of a context of something just bigger than yourself, the world, the energy, nature. I get that.
Yeah.
Man.
The ancient Greek and like Roman and Nordic ones, I like those religions a lot. The stories are incredible. Especially in Nordic stories, are just fucking buck wild. But because it tells you, like, it goes into, it's all speculation for them, because they didn't have technology to, look out deep into the stars and, do, carbon dating on fossils and shit like that. So they're basing these opinions and these ideas upon, just what they think. And like, they very, Nordic people very well could have found, dinosaur bones and shit like that, and not known what the fuck they're looking at. And they think it's some kind of monster or something. So that gets written into lore. It's like, these things exist. So it's an easy way, it's easy to see how they're formed. And, some of the grandiose ideas behind some of them, you can argue that they were, meant to be, more over the top than necessary. But I think the idea was trying to find an understanding of things, and they had multiple gods that had multiple, their own roles that they played in acting out this history, rather than one who just said, boom, this is it. This is how it is. And, fucking here's a book, sayonara. I think the afterlife ideas on those are more fun too, because it's like, especially in like ancient Greek religion, you have Hades, and Hades isn't, people think it's hell, but it's not hell. It's the afterlife.
So the underworld.
Yeah, it's the underworld.
Right.
You get there, and, Tartarus is there. Tartarus is hell. And then you have the Elysium fields, or the Elysium. I think I'm pronouncing that right. Yeah. And like, that's paradise. And it's, they're in the same place, basically. They're just, separated. And, it's I don't know. I feel like it's more fun. It's more of a cool concept that you can arguably understand why people believed it back then. But the reason why people believe these things today, I guess, is the part that throws me off.
Definitely. Yeah, that stuff's more like hero's journey. Like,
yeah.
Imagine like the visual or the intensity of crossing the river Styx.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
We actually did that in my in our D&D campaign. Keith made a thing for that. We're in like a 9 Rings of Hell thing, but there's
I was wondering when we get to that.
Yeah, so there's bits of pieces where it's like we just we're almost finished with the first, I guess the second ring. The second ring is lust, right?
Yeah, dude, what a cool concept of the rings of hell where you have to confront your deadly sins.
Yeah. He sent out a poll at one point before we got too deep into it, and he was like, he had the different sins. He was like, be honest, which ones do you think that your character, committed, and like, I assume like we're going to have a worse time in those places. He's going to make us roll higher, checks and shit and whatever. But there's also weird elements about the way this is set up where it's like, there's like ghosts, and I'm doing air quotes, that they're like, they're literally sheets hanging from armature that's spinning around on the ceiling and shit like that. So I think that's he's either alluding to it's not the real 9 rings of hell, or that it's just I'm not sure exactly how he's going with it, but it's really interesting. It makes you question everything.
So if you were in hell, in Dante's hell, which ring of hell would you, what's your 7 deadly sin? Which one would get you the most?
Remind me. I know lust. Lust,
pride,
for sure.
greed, wrath, envy, lust, gluttony, sloth. And these are also the 7 tenets of Satanism.
Yeah. I feel like I'm not greedy.
No.
I feel like the rest of them kind of hit it on the head. What were they again? One more time for me.
Pride, greed, wrath, envy, lust, gluttony, sloth.
Yeah, wrath, it's kind of come and go. I feel like I'm pretty chill on that one. And the greed, I think I'm good on too. I mean, it depends on who's judging.
You're a pretty
me.
good person.
Yeah, but other than that, like, I've experienced the other ones for damn sure. Yeah. So, how do you feel you stack on that one?
Oh, definitely gluttony and maybe wrath would be my struggle spots. I think the rest I would get through mostly okay, but gluttony, I'd probably spend some time in that circle.
Smacking them meals, dog.
Oh yeah,
getting them chips on, getting that instant ramen going.
It'd be anything of sustenance. Like, I think drugs and food, I would spend some time in that circle of hell.
Oh yeah.
Wrath, I think I kind of go back and forth, like you were saying, but I think I have enough peace in me to get through. But gluttony it'd be a struggle. It'd be a struggle. But I don't, what I really like about, as stupid as I think a lot of Satanism stuff is, I love it too. And what I really like is, like, I consider myself a glutton, but I feel like I have enough pride in myself to balance it a lot of the time. Like, there definitely parts of my life were not in balance, but especially as I'm healthier, I think it's important to be gluttonous, but you have to have the other traits to balance it.
Yeah.
It's all about the balance.
I feel like pride might be my worst one. Like, by far of all of them, I think pride's my worst. And it's not like, I've said this before, it's one of my favorite things that I quote myself with, is the difference between ego and pride is the ability to back it up. The difference between ego and confidence, I usually say, but I feel like, it goes with the same thing. Like, I hold myself to a certain standard because I know that I can, and it drives me. And, surely that definitely gets, holds me back sometimes when I don't act to those standards, but I think overall it's a force for good for me.
Yeah, and I think pride is the most confusing of them because it is something that is inherently healthy and unhealthy. Yeah. And it's all about where that line is.
Yeah. I don't have that white pride, but
no, fuck that.
Yeah.
But like, having pride in yourself as a person is so important and valuable, but the people with too much pride have trouble accepting help or reaching out to others when they need it, or they're prideful to a fault and they're never wrong. That one for me is a confusing one.
Yeah. So I work at this healthy restaurant. I want to, because we start talking about balance. I work in this health food restaurant, and people come in, they're like, oh, they're complaining about something having sugar in it or something like that. And it's like, well, some people, can have stuff like that in moderation. It's not a big deal. And they're like, well, what some doctor that he's quoting said, moderation leads to, overdoing it or whatever the fuck it was. And it was like, that's not how that works. Like, moderation leads to moderation. Your own temptation and inability to control yourself leads to overdoing it.
Oh God.
It's like, okay, then just don't eat the fucking, people complain about the cookies because they had, we make these cookies and they got sugar in them. And it's like, then just don't eat the fucking cookies, dog. Go home and bake your no sugar fucking black bean brownies and be happy about it. We're not going to make them here for you. You already make them at home. Oh, I make these things at home. You can make them here. And it's like, nah, that's not my thing though. I'm not going to make those.
No,
that's like, cool for you. I'll bring you some in. Okay, cool. Thank you. I'd appreciate that. I'm not going to make them though.
Like, go home and eat unflavored bread and rice forever, because we don't want you tempted by flavor or any. We
don't want you tempted by these things that you are deciding that you can't have.
You want to hear a funny one?
Yes.
My mom, guess what she thinks? She thinks OD means to overdo it.
Oh, that's adorable.
So
that's so sweet.
It's so funny, and she's learned that term from my overdoses, and she'll go, oh, I guess Steven was just overdoing it. Or like, she'll talk about dinner like, oh, Dad just OD'd on dessert again, he overdid it.
Oh no, that's beautiful.
It's like a running joke in the family.
That's a special gem.
So dark. It's so funny though. Now, she uses it all the time. It's so funny.
Does she know now?
She does.
Okay.
She does, and she just like can't help but use it. It's so funny.
That's okay. That's okay then. That's fun. It's fun, and like you said, it's dark, but it's within darkness we find light.
Exactly. So with that, I was gonna. Have you had any death experiences or near-death experiences where you've felt a touch in that shit?
No, I mean no
psychoactive.
I was gonna say I feel like. Well, there was that time we were driving from the east side over to drop you off at Kenwood Mall that one time. We'll talk about that another time. That's a whole story.
That's funny.
But as far as like actual like death goes, I feel like I've definitely experienced the call of the void thing.
Yeah.
For anyone that's unfamiliar, it's where like if you've ever been driving on, and just have that sudden split thought of like, what if I just kind of like swerved into oncoming traffic just real quick, and you're not going to do it, but it's just that kind of thought of like, what if I did though? Or like, what if I just kind of like hit, jumped off of this thing? Like I could totally jump off of this right now. And, it's there's a certain word for it, but it's the call of the void. And it's this internal thought that kind of pops into your head and, makes you think about like what happened if, or what would happen if I did this thing. I feel like that's got something to do. That's it's just a brain thing, but I there's a fun theory I have about that and, like alternate universes or alternate timeline things of how that matches up. I actually had one not too long ago about at work. I was making a smoothie and I put this blender on top of the pitcher on top of the blender, and I just for a second I thought, what if I just like put my fingers just like straight up in here,
slamming in?
Yeah, just like a ugh. And I kind of feel it a little bit, like no.
Those ghost tingles are weird.
Yeah,
when you
wild
feel
shit.
it, something. Yeah, But that call is a very real thing. And part of that, I think, can even be attributed to like an innocent, just wondering what happens after we die, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a way our subconscious might be questioning those things.
Like I could find out right now, just kind of hit that swerve in the oncoming real quick.
It's a very real, and it's definitely a thing more for depressive people, but I think all people have that in them.
Yeah.
Even if they deny it. There's no way you don't question your own mortality at some point.
I definitely, I feel like people who don't do it, I don't know, I guess I feel like that's part of what it's humbling to think about. And you know, to not know is the humbling part, is you know, how full of pride and you know, how shitty you must be to assume that you have it right. You know, it's nice to have good ideas. Like, that's different to think like, this is a fun idea and I hope it's this. But to think that you've got it right is fucked up. And
so much pride, false pride.
Yeah.
One of the things we had talked about in the past is like, when we were talking about like Truman Show shit, like delusional ideas and stuff.
Yeah.
For like the longest time, I had the idea that I knew it wasn't true, but like I had this like concept that was growing that I was immortal and cursed to live forever because I could not die. Like I've had a lot of death-ish experiences, and none of them have ever taken. So there was this like, and it's like I knew it was delusional, but there was this idea that like I'm not meant to go, like that I could be reckless, and it wasn't gonna happen.
Now, would you like to expound on those different death experiences you've had?
Yeah, I mean, they're pretty simple. Most of them have been overdoses, but some of them for like decent amounts of time. Never any of the ones like I've had friends where like they're in the hospital in comas, or like it's real bad, serious damage. Like definitely some brain damage stuff, but I always pop back fine, no matter how bad it is, kind of thing. And I can't imagine death is any different. Mm-hmm. And I like I would love for death to be like people say with near death experiences, or like total heart failure shit, like where they have the DMT release in their brain, all your brain releases all these trippy chemicals, and you're going towards the light. It's a big psycho active kind of shit experience.
Yeah.
I don't think any of that is true. I think, like you said, it could be that's the version of death where you're dreaming, like you're still able to experience those chemical trips in your brain.
Yeah.
But any near-death experience I've had, it's just darkness. It's just a nap. You're just asleep. It's just darkness. And I some of those experiences were bad and some of them are good, but I think it's all just like, I don't know. I just don't understand how or why that's considered such a bad thing, the death part, or why people think it would make more sense for an afterlife than the sleep or darkness.
Yeah. Do you feel like that gives you any kind of comfort at all, knowing that you've kind of been there, done that kind of thing?
I mean, I feel like it sounds like, I don't know, like I'm romanticizing it, or like there's an ego part, and I'm sure there is some, but I feel like I got to those experiences by not, like I wasn't afraid of death, and I still don't feel that way. And after experiencing it to some degree, a handful of times, I definitely fear it even less. Like mm-hmm. to answer your question, yes, that for me that was very comforting. Having those experiences has made life since much easier. Like, I don't know, it feels weird or difficult to put into words, but if anything, I feel very comforted by that.
Nice.
It makes everything just feel like sometimes I still get caught up in like stress, like, oh, I got to do school, I got to do work. It's like, fuck, none of that fucking matters, man. Like, we're here and we're gone. It's all about, just being the best you can or enjoying the time you have with people. But that everything, when you put in perspective, is so trivial, and it can be over so quick.
Yeah.
And psychedelics definitely do that for a lot of people. My experience with those things have definitely helped a lot. Just perspective changes too.
I only experienced some time warps on psychedelics and
those womp womps.
The womp womps, man. Get that womp womp, dog.
Dude, have you ever had that for real though? You remember in the Matrix when the hallways? That was bad. The hallways just.
Yeah, absolutely.
You ever have one of those real good?
At David's house one time, yeah. There was one night we were partying, and we took acid, and upstairs in the living room they were like doing like a hippie, like a circle of like meditation and like thought provoking shit, and like it was like, they were doing that in like one room, and like we were talking shit in the other room and hanging out. And then you go downstairs in the basement, and there's, somebody was playing like fucking death metal, and it was black metal, and they had a strobe light going, and it was like God. Walking into two different worlds. And then so coming up out of the basement, your eyes are adjusting to that light already. Like naturally you're going to be a little bit kind of fucked.
Yeah.
But with that added to it, it just went fucking buck wild. Just everything's like too much. And it's like, okay, I'm going to go outside in the fresh air and just not be inside of these walls right now. I can't do it.
Now, when you went outside, because it's like the air is cool, you're breathing, did your vision kind of sink to your breath? Have you ever got that?
No.
Man, dude, I had this one DMT trip where like
I've never had the chance.
Life change. Like,
yeah, that's what I'm down to do.
It's different than any other drug. I really do feel like it is uncomparable. Like, I feel like most drugs you can learn stuff from, and you can learn a lot about yourself from, but DMT is on a different tier. It really is like a spirit molecule kind of thing. But I was smoking that in the fucking hood at Hawaiian Terrace, and I'm on my couch, and dude, my couch, I was on an alien beach. Like, your body, your eyes, you're probably having like a fucking stroke. Like, you're not seeing with your eyes. Like on other psychs where you're seeing shit move.
Yeah.
It is like you are 100% gone. Your body's probably like limp, twitching. Like, you're fully immersed if you break through and do enough, whatever. So it's like I'm watching an alien sunset, and I'm on the beach, and my couch just becomes sand, and you're there for like 10-15 minutes, and like I come back, and it's like my breath was the waves retreating.
That's kind of cool,
dude. It was the most beautiful experience of my life.
That's fucking wild. Yeah.
And it's weird because it's like, that wasn't real. You have like a portal to another dimension in your pocket, and it probably will never be quite the same, but it's something unique.
There was a unique experience maybe, but
yeah,
I've heard people getting, maybe not that vivid, but strong reactions from like salvia.
Oh God, yeah.
I never really got that with it.
I didn't either. It's just terrible.
I used to like it. Because the best experience, or the strongest experience I got with it was like, just colors were hella vibrant. That's
like
mostly
questions.
what I got. Yeah.
Yeah.
Other people, other people would say like they got really claustrophobic and they felt like the walls were closing in on them and shit like that. And like, I can't, I never got that.
Yeah. And I don't know. People, I don't know. It probably sounds stupid to a lot of people, but I don't know. Those experiences, even if they're damaging at times, you learn a lot about yourself.
Yeah.
I don't think it can be discounted as even if it is irresponsible or things. There's value there too.
Yeah. Like you said, there's something to learn at least.
Yeah.
Gotta
try everything once.
Yeah.
Or a lot of times.
Or a lot of times. Well, if you die, you won't have the option to do that again. Unless you go the Walt Disney route and then they freeze you.
Cryogenic freeze. Yeah, apparently. So right after Walt Disney died, apparently a group of disgruntled animators spread this rumor about him freezing his brain. So in the future, they could try to resurrect him or get ideas out of his head, whatever. And it was actually printed in a French magazine, I think. And for a long time, it was considered true. And the family, had since, tried to dismiss it multiple times. But there's still
That's
some
exactly
question.
That's exactly what they would do if they had frozen Walt Disney's brain.
But things from Kennedy after the assassination, like things from him have been frozen and preserved. And now there's like full clinics. Like there are hundreds of people in this country that are in cryogenic tanks now.
Wasn't that a Futurama thing where they had people's heads in jars? Yeah.
Well, that was the whole premise of Futurama. He went into one of the cryogenic freezers and woke up
you're
in
right.
the future. Yeah. But there's something to it. I mean, how science looks at death in the afterlife has changed so much.
Yeah.
Do you want to go into that article a little bit, or do you want to take it somewhere?
I'm down either way. I was gonna ask, how do you feel about the concept of immortality? If someone said you could, eat this, take this pill, and you'll be immortal, you'll never die. How would you feel about that?
Fountain of Youth. Dude, have you seen that movie?
Ghostbusters?
I haven't seen the sequel. Dude, there's this movie. By the end of this, I'm going to find this movie and we're going to cover it on an episode because it's so beautiful.
Okay.
But Fountain of Youth, Live Forever, Immortality. And it's weird because we were talking about like biohacking kind of shit. Like it's become more and more plausible with cloning, whatever, that we could live forever at some point in the relatively near future. But I like the idea of living a lot longer. Like I think
for forever.
Yeah, like
I want the option to go at some point.
Yeah, or like I think even like some vampire literature, like they live hundreds of years, but they still can't live forever. Like that to me sounds like hell.
Yeah.
To live in this world forever.
Right. I wanna live long enough to see. I want to. So let me rephrase that. It's not that I want to live long enough to see these things. I want to see where technology goes, or where at least the human race goes, and it's just 100 years. Mm-hmm. Not anything longer than that. I want to see what it turns into in 100 years, because at the rate that we're accelerating, 100 years from now would be. I feel like it'd be equivalent to like 300 to 500 years back. As far as technology goes.
Yeah. No, I fully agree. But not forever.
Yeah, not for forever, no.
I feel like everything would lose its importance.
Yeah.
It's not special if it's forever.
Yeah.
We're meant to go.
Watch all the kick-ass animals go extinct? Come on.
Now that is a sad thought.
Yeah.
I think we'll likely, within 100 years, I think we will either already be there or be very close, but I think we'll be multi-planetary by then.
You think so?
I think
we've got at least 100 years. I'm thinking multiple hundreds of years before we have people living on another planet.
Well, I mean, even if it's the moon, I think the moon 100 years and like another real planet within 200.
Like, okay, I can work with that.
Like
the only thing is like once they get up there, like
setting up.
Setting up to where like they can have birth on that planet and everything's chill.
Yeah, because like people talk about colonizing Mars so much, and the reality is you can't really with our current technology, you cannot terraform Mars. There's no way to do drilling, and I think it's the same with the moon because of gravity and shit. You can't really dig. Like, there's not a way to make water and mine these planets yet with how things are.
I think the main thing, I want to say I read this somewhere, the main thing that's going to make the difference in colonizing other planets is less about what we do once we get there. It's about getting there more easily. Because once we can get back and forth easier, we can bring shit to,
That's what Elon is all about.
Yeah.
The reusable ships, and they're within the next, I think it's a year and a half, they're taking civilians on space flights.
Really? Okay.
Like you could just buy it online.
That's kind of fucked, but okay. I mean, it's cool, I guess.
They're getting there. The other big next thing is they have to get all these the satellites and trash out. Like, there's too many.
Yeah, there is.
And the other big thing is one of the next big goals is mining asteroids, because there's so much rare metal that ultimately we will be short on within the next 100 years, that they're trying to find ways to mine the stars. Basically. It's so cool.
Do you want to go further into cryogenics and immortality, or do you want to get into what we believe?
How about I just do this article real quick?
Yeah.
And then we'll transition.
Hell yeah.
So I was looking up just stuff about what modern science is telling us about death and near experiences and stuff, and I found a pretty interesting article, and what's so interesting is that, death is when our heart stops beating, and it's all like based on cardiopulmonary criteria. And it was often thought that we have like seconds before when our heart stops beating that the brain dies.
Right.
Like that there was a very small time frame to catch or reverse death. And a lot of the newest science is saying that our hearts can stop, but our organs, particularly our brain, can still be living for longer amounts of time than was realized. Minutes to hours, and some situations they even believe days. I remember there was one story of this kid who fell into the ice like while playing on a frozen river or whatever, and because he wasn't expecting the fall and he had oxygen trapped in his lungs, he was in the water for hours, like a time that breath could not have been held. And like David Blaine has talked about, the magician dude, because he's done those breath holding events and shit where he set the world record, and he had a lot of insight to it, which was interesting. But it could have been because both because he held his breath inadvertently, this child, and the cold that trapped this oxygen in his organs as he basically froze. But this kid survived without brain damage for a wild amount of time under this ice. And it's just like during the last decade, scientists have realized that your cells aren't dying right away with your heart. So as technologies advance, they're finding more and more ways to bring people back, to restore oxygen and blood flow to a person's organs after their heart stops, and to resuscitate them. And they're also finding an increased number of near-death experiences, those trippy, go into the light kind of shit. If they experience pain, they experience the same pain that other persons felt, even if they didn't realize it at the time. They actually judge themselves. They suddenly realize why their actions were good or bad, and many claim to see their downstream consequences of their actions. I thought that was a pretty wild quote from this doctor. Just that, I don't know, just as science improves, we can bring people back farther and farther from the edge of consciousness, and that us living forever isn't as far away as it was once thought.
Yeah. I think
kind of rambling, but
no, I think the idea, especially when, when they say like when you die, your life flashes before your eyes kind of thing, like, that lends itself to the idea of, people, like you said, coming back and they're questioning, they're coming to different moral choices of what they could have done differently or seeing things that might have been suppressed. Because, your brain's a big computer and it just saves all those files in there. So it makes sense that when it's malfunctioned or when it's in emergency mode, it's going to trip shit that you might have either forgotten or, it's going to flash, all the data it can find of like, what the fuck do we do? We're going to die kind of thing. So I think that, that would be a theory to explain that.
And I know I've never had any like my life flashing before my lives kind of shit. But anytime you come back from, even if it's not a near death, just a super sketchy experience, I mean,
you want to call your mom,
Yeah, there's a reason you should be questioning everything.
Yeah.
Like, how the fuck did I end up here? Why did I survive? Why didn't I die? Like, we're meant to question that shit.
That party last night was wild. How the fuck did I wake up? How did I get here?
Home? Yeah.
Who drove?
I walked. It was 10 degrees out.
It was 10 degrees out. That motherfucker's house is 6 miles away.
Oh, shit. Yeah. I'm down. Do you want to do mediums, ghosts real quick?
Oh, yeah. Let's talk about that. Did you ever play with the Ouija board?
A Luigi board?
A Luigi board. A Waluigi board.
Dude, that video makes me... You know the one I'm talking about?
No.
Oh, my God. We're watching it after this.
Okay.
You're just going to laugh way too long.
All right, cool.
I never played with a Waluigi board, but I did... Especially when I was like... Before I even got full into Satanism, I got super... Oop, dropped a pen. Super into magic and occult shit. So I definitely did lots of other stuff, but I never did the Ouija board.
We did, so we got the, was it like Milton Bradley or whatever the fuck, the Hasbro or whatever the fuck it is.
Yeah.
Their, glow in the dark Ouija board. We got it and I was real young. We went to my aunt's house. She lived out in like Kentucky, out in, the fucking sticks. She had acres on acres, and we were looking for ourselves a ghost. We were camping out in in a tent that night. And we decided it would be a good idea. And, it was me and my sister and my older cousins. And of course, it's someone's, we're getting the message, and one of them is one of my older cousins was like, oh, it's it's moving, it's telling us. I don't even remember what the fuck it was, but they're just freaking each other out. And then I think I did it one more time when I got older, but I always feel like I didn't have any belief in it. No. In the communication thing. We went to go see John Edwards when I was younger. That's the crossing over guy.
The spiritualist dude.
Yeah, he's like,
Oh no.
Yeah, so we went to go see him, and so at the time, this is a fun story. So
okay.
We're in there, and he's talking about this. One of the things he mentions is this dragon, and he's talking about this dragon. He's like, it's like a long, like an oriental dragon thing, and someone stands up and they're like, oh, I got this dragon tattoo or whatever, and he's like, no, it's not that. It's different. It's like a different thing. And then he says, oh, dude, you're laughing now. You have no fucking idea how this is gonna go. I might have told you before. But so he goes, someone else, raised their hand. They're like, I got this, this dragon. Dragons are like my favorite. I studied dragons in high school or whatever the fuck it was. And he's like, no, it's not like that. Like I can see it. It's like a Chinese, like a parade dragon. And like 20 minutes go by before I realize I'm wearing Jinko jeans, and I got I have this fucking Chinese parade dragon on one of the legs of these jeans.
And you don't realize he's probably talking to you.
Well, I'm like in the back, like,
oh, okay. Yeah.
The idea was bro. Like he had people that could could see things on people and would say something. But like eventually I stood up and I was like, yo, I got these fucking Jinkos. And I was a little kid, I didn't say that, but he was like, that's it. And he was like, somehow your grandfather is coming through to try to help this person. He like connected it to something else, some other bullshit. Oh my God. And my family, God bless their souls. At the time it's like, yes, like they, cause it wasn't that long after my grandpa died, and they they're looking to, any kind of sign or something. And so they bought these tickets to go see this guy. So, but I definitely, I don't see any.
That's honestly, I mean, that's a really funny story, but it's so evil what those people do. Yeah. For real.
But it all came back to my Jinkos.
Dude, a part of what I was laughing, God, I think I told you this one, but I was in rehab and this dude, he's like, dude, you want to check out my new tattoo? Which is almost always like, no, I don't. I love tattoos, but no, I don't want to check out your tattoo. But dude's like, come on, check out my new tattoo. And he pulls like his sleeve up or some shit, and he's got a dragon tattoo. And it was, honestly, it was done okay. It was very small, but it was done okay. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. And he's like, oh, you like that? Well, check out this one. I'm like, all right, this dude's going to show me another tattoo. So he rolls up his other sleeve, and he's got another dragon tattoo. And at this point, I'm like, this is funny. I guess this dude's like dragons. And the other one was really bad. Like, it was like a prison stick and poke, out in the country, whatever, piece of shit tattoo. And I was like, cool, dude, you got two of them. And he's like, yeah, but if you like that, check this out. And he pulls up his shirt. He's got a third dragon tattoo.
The boy with the dragon tattoos.
Dude, he's got three of them. They were all in different styles. Only one of them was good so far. And at this point, I am laughing. And I don't know why he did not get, like, I'm laughing because you have three Chinese dragon tattoos. And you're like a Kentucky hillbilly, dude. Like, I like the dude. He's funny. But, like, what the fuck is going on? Bro, Guess how many dragon tattoos he had?
I'm gonna go 9.
13.
Jesus fuck.
Every tattoo on his body was a different dragon tattoo.
Oh, man.
I never looked at him the same. It was so funny.
He's the Shogun of the South, man.
Oh shit. But dude, for real, I love how Houdini spent so much time busting up the spiritualists.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like the whole second part of his career was just exposing fakes and shit. And then Penn and Teller kind of picked that up as a modern version. I always really appreciate that stuff.
There's another magician that I don't remember what his name was. But there was one guy in particular that he fucking picked on. It was like late 70s, I think. Damn it, I got a book too. It's just in the other room. I don't feel like getting it. But he just fucking, every time that this guy would come out and like, pretend to be a mentalist and like bending spoons and communicating with the dead and shit like that, he'd come out and, call him a liar and a fake and talk mad shit on him. And the guy got pissed, of course, because he's like, this guy's trying to make a livelihood. And he was like, nah, fuck that. Like, your livelihood is based on, fooling people and making them feel, like a connection with their family that you're creating. You're putting thoughts in their head that shouldn't, don't need to be there. Fuck you.
Yeah, dude, that's exactly how I feel. There's no way I could sit silently in that audience. No, like as an adult.
Oh, right.
There's no fucking way I could watch someone do that to somebody.
Yeah.
No fucking chance. It is so fucking evil.
Yeah.
And it's still huge. Now, what I do kind of like is there are mentalists and people now who do it and they are open that it's an act.
Yeah. That's fair.
I think
if it's for, you're saying it's for entertainment purposes?
Very different.
Yeah, sure.
And there's mentalists who do stuff where that don't involve any spiritualism. And they're just trying to like implant ideas or do social experiments.
Yeah.
That dude Darren Brown does some fun stuff.
My ex's dad he's a magician. And I've never actually seen him do like as major like tricks. Like he's got, he studies magic constantly, even as old as he is, and he's been doing it for years. But he introduced me to a couple of different people. But one guy was a mentalist, and he did, he like changed somebody's watch, the time on somebody's watch. I heard the story secondhand, but like convinced the guy that it was like 5 hours earlier than it was. In like the whatever way, like, he fucked him up real bad, and the guy like he almost like went like started believing in like religion after that because he just fucked his mind so much.
That's not good.
Yeah, like it wasn't the fault of the mentalist. The guy was just kind of fucked anyways.
Dude, I don't want to get too far off topic, but
we're talking about magic. What do you? That's not what this episode's about.
This dude Darren Brown. I think he's a British dude, but he's a mentalist, and he's got a couple specials on Netflix, but one of them's called The Push, and it's all set up to see if they can manipulate someone into pushing someone off a balcony, and they don't know it's not real. And it's like all like a big social experiment to see if they can set up a situation where someone would literally kill someone. And then he later did one where somebody takes a bullet for someone.
Wow.
And it's very cheesy, but it is he got one woman to push someone off a ledge. And it's intense.
Now,
man.
Was it like, just like, hey, go push that guy?
No, it was all like a very controlled experiment. Like, it starts like they have a speaker who dies giving a speech at a fundraising event, and because you don't want the money not to go to charity, you pretend they're alive, and then you get busted. Someone tricks you into moving the body, and then you're caught moving them. And it's just like it keeps getting stepped up.
Wow.
Dude, you would love it because it's all Truman Show. There's like 100 other people in on it, and you're the only one not in on it, and they're all manipulating you to kill someone.
Wow. Yeah, that's pretty fucked. I gotta look that up.
It's pretty incredible. Yeah, he does some other cool stuff. Some of it is ungodly cheesy, but he is a very talented person, and it's a very interesting thing to watch.
All right, fuck yeah, I gotta look into that.
And then that other thing I remembered, that movie about the Fountain of Youth, it is one of my favorite movies that I kind of forgot about and haven't watched in a while, called The Fountain. It's a 2006 American epic romantic drama film by Darren Aronofsky, and it stars Hugh Jackman and Rachel Weisz. Dude, it's 3 movies at the same time where they juggle between them, and one of them is the Spanish Conquistadors, one of them is a dude dying of cancer, and one of them's the story of the Fountain of Youth, and it is like one of the most beautiful art movies I've ever seen. It's outstanding.
I'm now looking at the little pictures from it. I've definitely heard of this movie. I remember when it came out, reading about it, but no, I have not seen it yet. So
you will really like it.
All right, that's on my list.
And then we'll get into the Ouija board after.
Yeah. Ouija board. I mean, so, what are your opinions on ghosts?
Bullshit.
Okay, yeah.
I love the idea of it. And can I do the Hungry Ghost real quick?
Yeah.
So this was one, I meant to say this one earlier, but this was an idea that came from Indian religions, particularly Hinduism, Buddhism, and it was thought of to be a supernatural being. They called it the Preta, Preta, and Pretas are believed to have been false, corrupted, compulsive, deceitful, jealous, or greedy people in a previous life. As a result of their karma, they are afflicted with an insatiable hunger for a particular substance or object, and they're called the hungry ghosts. And I love the idea of that sick people or mentally ill people, addicts, that could have been, that they are just hungry ghosts from a previous life. I think it's bullshit, but I love the fucking idea.
Yeah, it's really symbolic, and it's it's more lore on the reincarnation.
Yeah, it's just
theories and ideas.
Reincarnation's just by far the most fun.
It's more interesting for sure.
But real ghost stuff, both mediums, ghost,
now
it's so bad.
I agree. I have a theory on ghosts in the realm of like multiple timelines theories.
Okay. I can get into that more.
But I'll save that for a different one.
Fuck it.
Yeah.
Man.
That's
go for it.
Okay. So
you had the other one too that you wanted to get into, and I meant to tell you then, like, I don't care, let's do it. You had 2 multiple timeline theories.
So the the other one was the Call of the Void thing.
Do it.
So with the idea that there's an infinite number of timelines, all of them intersecting, like in a world of multiple dimensions kind of thing, I think it's within like the 6th dimension, anything within this, everything that is possible has happened or will happen within the 6th dimension. So what that means is that there are infinite possibilities for things, and if there's easier ways to describe it. It's better, I think, I at least understand it better if I see it, the idea of multiple dimensions and how they work together, because people think of it like a bunch of mirrors, but it's not like that, at least in theory. So like think of it as multiple timelines that can intersect, and they're sporadic, and there's an infinite number of them going in all directions, so they intersect at different places. So there's a possibility that those timelines can intersect in a place where you might see an apparition, or you might feel a thing that's not there, or hear a thing that's not there. And that's it. That's at least I think a fun idea for people. So many, ghost stories and stuff like that I feel like it's the same for that. It can also explain deja vu. You did something in this timeline that you just did in a different timeline, or so you feel like you experience it twice when they intersect. At that point,
I like that. It reminds me of a glitch in the Matrix stuff from our Brain Vat episode. But I like the idea of ghosts being a different reality.
It's just a glimpse that you saw,
more.
and the other one was the Call of the Void. It's maybe at this, very similar to deja vu. Maybe in this other timeline that you just crossed, you did swerve into oncoming traffic. Mm-hmm. You did stick your hand in the blender. If in a realm of infinite timelines, everything that can happen has happened or will happen. So, it's just the weird coincidence that it lines up at that moment is why you could an idea of why you could be experiencing that. And I think, like I said, I think it's a fun idea. I think there are other string theorists. I think that's the right one for that. People that believe in the multiple dimensions and timelines that might argue with that, especially with the ghost ones. But I think it's definitely a fun concept.
And that all string theory very much ties in with the reincarnation in a way, because your molecules rearrange enough.
Oh yeah.
Everything's possible. You could come back as a different form because there's enough timelines or ways time could have passed.
Well, I think in string theory, I think it's less that you come back, more that you're currently existing. All time is happening at the same time.
Right.
And it's set, and I forget the words we used when we talked about it before. Like it's predetermined. It's already set in stone how this is gonna be in this timeline. In this timeline it might be different.
So do people that like hardcore believe in that have to believe in fate?
I don't think that's a prerequisite. That's decided. But I think that's more on canon with the concept, because even string theory stuff, it's very theoretical still at this point, so I don't think that it's one of those like if you think this, thereby or therefore you think this kind of thing, or therefore you have to believe this. I think it would lead to a better understanding of this topic, but I think there's also like the growing box concept of like time grows ever outward, and technically that could be true, but it's I think it's a cause versus what's
causation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just because time is moving onward and everything that can happen will happen does not mean that everything is set in stone.
Right. See, that's how
it's just a more complex idea, because then it's like, well, then how do you like, what does that mean for, freedom of choice and change and whatnot? And, how would you ever know when you're affecting a change or affecting a difference?
Right. Now we're kind of getting more into kind of our beliefs on it.
Yeah.
Do you want to get more into that? And could I start you off with, do you believe in fate or destiny? Or freedom of choice? Let's do all.
I mean, I don't think I mean, you know, if fate and destiny are the same thing, kind of. I don't think that the two, fate or freedom of choice, are mutually exclusive. I mean, I know what you're saying. I know what you meant when you asked that. But I feel like I feel like we talked about it in the other episode, with the growing box theory thing of like how time continues and you can branch out based on, you know, your own timeline. Like the future is, but it's not yet, I guess. The future is, it's a given that it's going to be there, but
it's flexible.
Yeah, we don't know what it is yet. So I guess no, I don't believe in fate in that way. I do believe I don't like, I guess that's not the right wording. I like the idea of fate, but I don't hold as much hope into it. I would prefer that fate was real, but I don't have as much confidence in it than I do in freedom of choice kind of thing.
Yeah, I feel like it depends on what your fate would be, whether it would make sense to want it or not.
Yeah. And, you know, who knows what that is?
Yeah.
That's, you know, part of the thing of it. Like, I think it would be fun to know. Now, I take that back. I don't think it would be fun to know.
It'd be a curse.
Yeah. I think it'd be interesting to find out, you know, like say like after you die, you know, you go up to St. Peter at the pearly gates and he's like, yo, your whole life was dictated all along. I feel like it would,
to see how your choices affect
it would suck to know that that's true, because all the things that you stressed over that you never had any control over anyways, that of choices that you might have made and stuff like that. I feel like that would be shitty, but for there to be a structure to it, I think would be very interesting. So let me rephrase that. I think I said earlier I would prefer that fate was real. It's not that. I think it would be more interesting, or I guess strange if fate was real. But I feel like more than likely the freedom of will thing is more possible. How do you fall on that spectrum?
I don't believe in fate or destiny. I believe in will. Love is the law. Love under will. No. I think we always have a choice in all things, and I think unfortunately a lot of us don't have as many choices as we deserve to have, and oftentimes we're very constricted in determining our fate. Mm-hmm. But I do believe in will, the power of will, the power of choice. I think there's always an option, no matter how bad things are. We can always make it better or worse. No matter what, you got to have plan Bs. No matter how bad shit is, you could bite your wrist and kill yourself.
Yeah.
If your will is strong enough, you can figure something out for better or worse.
Yeah.
And I think so much of life is mental endurance. And I've definitely spent a lot of time with a very weak will. And when your will is weak, there aren't many. It feels like there's not many choices, that there aren't options, and you have no control of your faith or future. Fate, not faith. But it's powerful when you get there, you know?
I can see what you mean. I feel like I've definitely, I feel like I've felt the weak will thing before, but I definitely don't feel like I've ever struggled with it. So
you're a strong-willed person.
For sure. I do feel that way. as an empathetic person, I feel like I can relate to what that feels like, though. Only from, using my own experience as a reference, as a jumping off point, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
That
is the gift of
bleak.
empathy. Empathy is such a powerful tool that the cruel people never have the opportunity to understand.
Mm-hmm.
I really believe that.
Yeah.
It allows you to feel someone else's perspective, and that's a very valuable thing.
It's very valuable. It
painful.
Yeah, it can really suck sometimes.
Yeah.
To so easily put yourself in someone's shoes and sympathize with their, thoughts and emotions, and it makes you a prisoner to your own self, because you pity. Pity is not the right word. You sympathize, and you want to go out of your way to help people.
Yeah, you feel other people's pain.
Yeah, so it
can be more pain, but it also can be a very powerful motivator. Well, I was gonna relate that to something you said, but I think I lost it.
That's okay. We'll always circle back to it. All roads lead to Cannibal Corpse.
All roads lead to Cannibal Corpse. So, fate, destiny, ghosts, mediums, afterlife.
If I ask you right now, what is your favorite idea of what happens after we die?
Honestly, my favorite idea would be reincarnation. I think that is such a beautiful concept. It just feels so infinite. And the idea to evolve forever is, to me, that is so cool. But I feel like and I don't know. I don't have enough false pride to choose what I think the afterlife could be for myself or everyone else.
So what?
But I think most likely dirt nap. We die, we decay, consciousness ends. The small pieces of death I felt previously in my life, I believe that's what dying is. And the easiest thing I can relate that to is falling asleep. And I don't know if there's dreams or not, but I think it is darkness.
Now, with reincarnation, a lot of the religions that focus on that as part of the afterlife do so with the intention that eventually you will. The idea is to gain new experiences, and then eventually you reach an enlightenment, or the nirvana, and you can then leave this world. Do you in the idea of reincarnation, do you prefer that be an option or a continual rebirth?
I feel like continual rebirth.
That's how I feel too.
I feel like the idea of getting to a point where there's perfection is, I don't know. That's
saying that there's
ugly.
perfection.
Yeah, it like ruins the concept for me a little bit. Like if people believe in that part of it, it's like, I don't know, man. Taking away from the beauty of it,
the beautiful sporadicness of what it means to live
and die. Yeah, it's all about learning how to die.
I don't. Is that I like the idea of reincarnation. I think of the main usually held beliefs. I think that's the one I resonate with the most. Mm-hmm. The idea that I had that I like a lot is similar in nature, in that it's not like, I was going to say, it's not that we don't die, but that's not the thing. It's so for every thought you have, whether it's negative, positive, about anything at all, there's a frequency there. All the emotions you feel are, based on chemicals, that are formed in your brain based on frequencies that your brain has put out.
What do you mean by frequency in this situation?
So like a literal
measure for myself.
So like a literal measurable electrical frequency can be noted when you make thoughts. Like that's a thing. You can measure
we're emitting or like the electrical current that is producing those things.
That you are producing, your brain is firing in one place and sending a signal to another part of your brain, or
serotonin.
Yeah, your nerves, when you feel something, your brain tells you it's hot, because of the signal that goes up through your body. So there's a frequency there of all of your thoughts, and it's measurable, on a very, very small,
perceivable.
Yeah. Yeah, you can measure that with current technology. You can measure brainwaves.
Right, but we can't fully interpret them.
So it doesn't register as what the thought is. It just registers as data.
Right.
There is a frequency here. There is some kind of information or a signal of some type here. Is what we read it as. So. And up until, many years ago, we didn't realize there were even things as, infrared and ultraviolet and things like this.
Right.
These are also frequencies and waves that we just could not register. We could not perceive. So I don't think it's outlandish to think that when you die, it's dirt nap. You are dead. Your body is gone. Your memories, everything that goes with it, you're gone. Your personality, all of it. But there is a certain, I think it's an interesting concept to think that there's a certain resonation or a frequency that we emit that we don't really have a measurement for yet, or a way to read yet. That it's not unique to you. You're going to meet other people that are also on that frequency, and you're going to be able to, vibe with those people. You're going to meet people that are way off that maybe you don't, resonate. You don't resonate literally with those people. I think that's a fun idea. Once again, I want to put that out. I feel like I have to keep saying this because people are going to be like, you're fucking crazy for believing this. And it's not that I believe it. I just think it's really fun.
Are you saying like we echo?
More or less, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of the better way to describe it. But so when your body's gone, there still could exist that frequency. The energy cannot be, created or destroyed. So it goes somewhere. And true, your physical body, the energy goes into the ground and goes back into plants and, feeds the worms. But when I feel like I think it's, like I said, I think it's a cool idea that that electrical signal that, used to be, you, the essence of you, just I guess not the essence so much, but the measure of you, could resonate. And that would also, it would resonate with, in places where it's already been before, where it was, easily picked up and received before. So the people that you loved and the people that you cared about, could feel
it's absorbed in those objects and people more.
Right. So it's a familiar, it's a, a gravitational thing that, could be experienced there. So like I said, I'm sure now that I'm putting this into a public place, people are going to eviscerate it. And some scientist is going to, some Richard Dawkins ass motherfucker is going to, rip my shit to shreds. But I like I said, I just think that's a really fun idea of.
We echo.
Yeah.
I like it.
It's not so much coming back as a thing. It's just, echo is a really good way of putting it.
And our blood goes back to the stars.
Yep. Blood in the stars. Blood stars.
Yeah.
That's my next metal album. Once I learn how to play metal.
Do you have any other beliefs you want to mention on, or should we go to our favorite types of burials?
No, let's talk about burials. Before this, we always have a little session of talking about notes. And Steven has a note in our documents here that says, favorite types of burials, ? And then he has sky and water. And I was like, sky burial?
Dude, the sky burials. It's when, and you can get it done today still, but it's where you put your body in a field and the birds take you. And they call it like a sky burial because the sky is filled with all the animals consuming you.
Now, when you say the birds take you, you mean they pick at you like roadkill?
Yeah, like over days.
Okay.
And that's your sky burial. There's like places you can go to. It's mostly in the West, like Arizona and stuff, but you can have your body
scavenged upon.
Yeah. It's beautiful. You directly give your body to the animals again. It's like in a secured reservation kind of thing.
I guess so. I wouldn't call it sky burial. I guess if your body's going to end up in creatures in the sky faster.
But I think that is directly from like Viking and Norse shit. Like I may be wrong, but it came from like cultural reasons or something. But I love the idea. The name's more beautiful than the practice.
Yeah, I seriously thought it was just kicking somebody up out of a plane. Just roll them on out.
That's some Pablo Escobar.
You gotta do it over. You know, you got like certain dumping areas. I guess you can't do it over large cities.
The water one, that's definitely the Vikings, where they put you on the raft.
Yeah,
and they set you aflame. And
that's pretty fucking cool. I don't think beautiful. It's economical in any way of preservation of of your person or the nutrients that could be fed back to the earth. But man, it looks fucking cool.
Yeah. So, and there's countless others that I'm sure, but what would be your way to go? Not death, just the burial.
Man,
what's the most romantic to you?
I really like the egg tree thing that we mentioned.
That's a good one.
The tree coffin.
Yeah.
That's I think that's my favorite so far. I've seen that.
What would you pick? If it could be any plant or tree, what would you go with?
Say a maple tree.
Oh, you want to get sappy?
Yeah, I want to get nice and sappy. I want people to drink me.
That maple tree would be good.
That would be sick. Well, I've always one of my favorite trees is the Japanese maple. They
dude,
usually depicted with like a dark red or purple leaves. Yeah, I think those are gorgeous.
Yeah,
but either that or like a oak tree or like one of those like the big like live oaks, the big crazy with the low hanging arms and shit. Like something bonkers.
Hell yeah!
I was gonna say like a small, like, my entire body over like a garden of things, but like to have to go in and like replace things, like if it's not going to be like a continual growth thing, that wouldn't make for good gardening to just have a dude down there. So, I mean, I'm sure there's, I say that I realize there's going to be some processing that's going to be done with that body first. It's not just a body in the garden.
I think it's cool if it was though.
Oh, fuck. I mean, we bury people already like that anyways, inside of a box, inside of another box, but
you give IVs of sugar water, and then you
just plant food through my
mushroom
veins,
spores. Yeah, dude, you do the mushrooms and you grow mushrooms out of their chest.
Oh, something. Yeah. Grow something you can make poison off. A poison
some
from.
ricin.
Yeah, you grow some daturas or something that you can make some kind of a poison or drug. You can get that alchemy shit going on.
I forget what fucking plant that is. What was the other one?
It was Ghostbusters. That's the reason I can't do it anymore.
I don't know what I think I really would like animals. Like feed me to some like a pack of hyenas or some shit.
That food chain business?
Dude, yeah, I feel like I don't know. I respect that one the most. I think realistically burning would be like cremation as like a practical way, but if it was dealer's choice, I'm going feed me to a pit of animals.
Yeah, I feel like cost effectiveness, like I'm cool with being cremated.
Yeah.
Your body does lose nutrients that way. So if you're trying to, they say, the thing you can use cremated ashes for the tree thing, but I feel like that plan is better with the full body, I guess, or with what they use in the body. I'm down with being fed to animals if I'm dead first. That's I don't want to be eaten alive. I'm not sure if we've talked about that on recording or not. I know we've talked about it, but I can't remember if we did that either. I don't want to burn, don't want to drown, don't want to get eaten alive.
I'm tempted though. But if I'm ever in ashes, I want everyone to snort one line. We gotta.
Oh, bud, you can't put that on me. You can't do that to me. How many? Okay, besides me, how many other people do you know that would be like, oh, come on, all right, let's do it.
I think realistically, I could get like 4 people. Which is not a big party, but
let me take a guess. Okay. Sam?
Yep.
Sarah?
I think yep.
Your brother?
Yep.
Okay, cool. And me?
Yep. Maybe 1 or 2 more. But, yeah, I don't know.
You gotta think who all's gonna be there when you die. who is wild enough to do that would survive long enough to see you die.
Right. Gotta get the hardcore party.
Right. Here's a question. What do you want your funeral to be like? How would you like your life to be celebrated when you die?
Man, I feel like I really don't want a service. Like not.
Oh, you don't want the open casket?
No, it's so bad.
That's the worst. It's the absolute worst. It's so
like
bad.
A cruel joke. Like, why the fuck? Like, I don't know. If you're close enough to him that you could see the body shortly after or something, like if it's not a horrific death, I get that. But it's never the same. It's not this. It's not. They're not there anymore. It doesn't look like them. No. And I don't feel like it helps to see that. Like if you're that close to the person, I feel like you should be given the opportunity to see them prior to the funeral, but to wait days and pump them full of fake shit and then I don't know, that's just creepy.
It was at my aunt's funeral. She had died of cancer. She went through chemo for years. Then she, so she went she underwent a bunch of, changes in appearance through that alone. When she died, they had an open casket, because it was, the more religious side of the family. And my grandpa said, I don't remember his exact quote, but it was something along the lines of, I recognize almost everybody in this room, but not them, and pointed at her in the casket because it just didn't look like her anymore. It wasn't her,
That's brutal, man.
So, and to put that memory in my head now, and that's unfortunately when I think of my Aunt Sue, that's what I think of is like visiting her in hospice. And like I think of
Yeah.
other things also and other times also, but that's the first memory now that comes to my head is visiting her in hospice and her funeral.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like for real the way I would want it to be is definitely not a service or anything related to a church or anything.
Oh God,
but
yeah.
like for real party. Like I've never had someone die where like you hear people say it, but it, like their family's not going to or whatever. Like for real legit party.
Oh
like,
yeah, no, we do for sure. The last several, I mean, even like when my grandmother died, even when my aunt died, like we had the open service for the rest of the family, but like we get together afterward and we drink up and we go fucking nuts.
That's awesome.
In particular, when my grandmother died, on my mom's side, we had a party at my back at their house, and my grandfather on my other side, on my dad's side, was my beer pong partner. But he wasn't drinking beer because of his gout. He decided instead to drink rum and Coke. And he got fucked up. But we went hard on that. And then when he died, we threw a big ass party for a bunch of people we knew. And a lot of fucking people showed up to that. That's the only way. It's like, you know, like a wake. Like have a fucking party, celebrate my life. Don't, you know, you're going to be sad, but like, you know, whatever, you know, have fun, making an excuse to get together and have a good time and remember good shit.
Exactly, man. I've just never actually experienced that.
Really?
No, never. I've only ever been to like solemn or depressing shit.
Oh, dude, that sucks. I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, I normally don't go to most. And maybe that's part of it.
I almost said, oh man, wakes are the best. But like, someone still died though. So.
That's funny, man.
I mean, it is the best way to, you know, deal with losing somebody.
Yeah.
But
fuck yeah. Do we want to do anything else, or should we look at these arts real quick and get out of here?
Well, I have one final question for you.
Do it.
And it was your question that you posed to me first. If you were going to be reincarnated,
oh yeah,
what would you want to be reincarnated as? Ooh. Now, let me jump into this because I've asked people this before and they've said like a physical object, like an inanimate object. Yeah, I know. It's fucking stupid. Like, oh, I want to be, you know.
That's scary.
Yeah, it's like, dude, what the fuck are you talking about? That's not how that works. Like, I would be a crescent wrench. Like, I think that's a King of the Hill thing, I think. But
be a tank of propane and propane accessories.
Shit. But people have said shit like that before, and it's like, no. It's got to be living. Whether it's a plant or an animal is fine. You know.
I feel like I was discussing this with Sarah. I feel like I'd want to be a hyena. But I feel like I'd probably be some form of a cat. And we're looking up different big cats, like one of the
a snow leopard or a snow leopard or a clouded leopard.
I love the clouded ones. But there's like those medium-sized ones where they're still big cats, but they have like weird patterns, the like ocelots.
Oh yeah, those are kick-ass. There's
some really weird ones that I wasn't aware of, but I really like the ocelot.
Ocelots purr, I think. I think they're the... Do cheetahs purr? I think cheetahs might be the largest that purr, but
I believe
ocelot's
so.
like right underneath. They're almost as big.
But I feel like I'd be something like that.
Yeah.
I really would like to fly, but I feel like it's more accurate to me.
Yeah.
What about you?
I also was thinking if it's an animal, I feel like a cat of some type.
Cat gang.
Yeah, I was definitely thinking like the clouded leopards or the snow leopards because they live very solitary. It's not about having a pride, but they do communicate to each other in an area with the scents and shit like that, with piss.
I definitely see being a clouded leopard. Love the spots.
Right. The other one was a tree, like a redwood, like one of those big fucking trees. I would love to.
I didn't even think about plants.
Yeah,
I don't know why I didn't.
If a plant, like a large tree, one of those that can live for hundreds of years and see the same spot, because they go through the life cycle so many times of shedding the leaves and whatever. But I think that would be a cool, extremely unique look at life.
Yeah.
And look in air quotes.
Wisdom.
Yeah.
Because you'd see everything happen.
Oh man, a fucking owl. How cool would that be? Talking about something that flies. I want to be an owl. That would be fucking badass. I don't know
if I'd like an owl.
That's like the greatest predator with wings, man. They hear in 3D. They're fucking fly with silence. The owls are the shit. It's my favorite bird.
It definitely beats. I fucking hate the bald eagles. I went to Arizona one time when I was like, I was still in like junior high or some shit, and like you think a bald eagle would be like all fucking majestic and patriotic and shit, dude. They're just sky rats. There were like hundreds of them. Like you would see groups of like 100 to like.
I've never seen them like that. I've seen a couple in the wild, but not like
just
that.
eating roadkill. Like they're just like huge vultures. They're like covered in blood and guts and shit. Like they were the grossest fucking birds.
I can see, especially in an area like that. Yeah. I mean, especially if there's a lot of them. There's not going to be that much life to get in the fucking desert. I've seen
snow desert.
I've seen 2 of them in my life. I think in the wild, bald eagles. I saw one was like on a post on a fence as we drove past it. This was in Florida.
In Florida,
yeah. Both were in Florida. The other one was I'm leaving. I just picked up somebody from the Tampa airport, and as I'm leaving it, there's there's a bunch of trees on the right side, and you kind of pull out past it, and then it's like an opening over there, and the fucking eagle came up out of it and like swooped up, and like I got a big whole catch of his wingspan as he kind of like turned around, and he was probably 30, 40 yards away from me, like not far at all.
That's so cool.
And I feel like everyone else was like talking to each other, like turned around and like having a thing. And I was like, oh shit, look at that. And it was gone already. I was like, fuck, you guys missed it.
That's funny, man.
But yeah, that's my thing on birds.
Oh yeah.
That's it on birds, everybody.
Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, birds. You remember that song by any chance?
No, not at all.
There's a Death Grip song. That's really, the lyrics are just really funny. He just yells "fuck you, birds" like over and over again.
I mean, that's fair.
You want to check out the start? Get the fuck out of here?
Yeah, man. Let's look at it.
Okay. I sent them all over to you in the chat. There's 3 pieces. One of them loads up only when you click that +1 on the. So these pieces were these are our last couple honorable mentions. I'm not sure which order they loaded for you, but I'm going to start with this first one called Clouded. And this is by the artist Warp. It's _WAARP _ on Instagram. This person does like 3D render art, kind of graphic design-y. They're definitely making their own 3D renders and stuff, and this piece I think is just outstandingly beautiful. This person also does some other really cool work, but this one felt was by far my favorite piece of theirs. It just feels so natural. It doesn't feel quite as 3D rendery.
Yeah.
It feels more like just a beautiful surrealism piece.
Now this is the piece with the whales, correct?
Yeah,
Okay.
the whales are swimming in the clouds around this bean's head, and it just feels so magical.
The color in the whales is the same as the color in the being's eyes,
Yeah,
and that's what caught my attention immediately. That's beautiful, the way that was done.
And it's just got this slight grain to it. It just feels, I don't know. That one just really caught my attention, and it reminded me of reincarnation and afterlife thoughts kind of stuff. I think the best is on the head, on the back of the head where it meets the sky, where it's kind of got that white out through the clouds.
Yeah.
Where the head, it just all becomes this one bright shine tone.
Yeah.
That's just so good. The clouds lose their definition. It's just such a soft glow.
It's actually funny that you showed me this, because I was looking at, I've seen 2 different images in the last like 8 or 9 days with flying whales.
Yeah, there's a big kick on them for if you've been seeing the ones where it's 3D rendered or they're from video and they're like spray painted with graffiti, like flying through cities and shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's mostly from not this artist, but one other render artist kind of thing. And they really hit it big. They were like on these video pieces are like on billboards in Japan and all over right now.
Nice.
This next one I fucking love. It's called Fallen Angel by Nikki Ays, Nickeays on Instagram. This is another 3D render artist, but this piece is just it. The description says phosphorus illumination provides wisdom in the form of dreams, and these colors are like phosphorus dream illumination. These are some of the colors that I strive for sometimes, and I don't always capture them, but I love colorscapes like this.
Yeah.
And it's just a beautiful figure in such a dream state.
It's a really wild kind of complementary analogous color thing. Like they have the blues and purples that are really nice together with the analogous thing, but to work in that like goldenish yellow like that, like it's not even like a green yellow. I mean, it kind of imparts you
a dirty yellow.
Yeah, it's kind of brutal how
but
it works super well without looking like sickly. It creates a really good contrast. That's a bold ass move to do, but it looks nice.
So good. And I like this person's other work too, but this piece is by far stands out. I'm not big on a lot of render stuff. I really like some specific artists a lot or certain pieces. And this person does some other cool stuff, but this piece is just outstanding. Mm-hmm. And I've kind of recently been watching a lot more of this because I want to talk to you another day about it. But have you heard of crypto art?
No.
Dude, it's the new thing for digital art, and it's like it's not cryptozoology. It's like the crypto coins, like Bitcoin. People sell art as a digital token. And there's this whole push for digital art collecting, and like any of these artist pieces might sell for 20 grand now. And it's an authenticated digital coin. Sometimes it comes with a real print or whatever. But once it's sold, that piece, it makes it unique and last forever. And unlike other, like if you sold your art to a gallery, the physical work, like once you sell it, that's the money you make. It's somebody else's forever. The coins are interesting because they're unique, and forever you get a percentage of sales. And it's proof of a digital artwork. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Dude, so there's digital auction houses of crypto art right now. And like people are trying to collect all the art, so pieces are selling for $100,000.
That's some cyberpunk shit right there.
Dude, it is wild. And it's all been happening this last year. It's like taken off really quick, and it's very interesting. So I would love, we're going to talk about that.
This is what happens in the world when you try to quarantine everyone. You ask everyone to stay home for a couple months, and they're like, I can't fucking live like this. I have to sell crypto art. It's like
and one of the most interesting things is this month there was the first big case of crypto art piracy where someone sold another person's art under, like, falsely. It wasn't their art, but they pretended it was and they sold it. But now that it exists, the whole point of digital crypto coin is that it can never be taken away. So this person could make money off your art forever, and it was stolen. And how do you delete that coin? This problem has never existed. It's very interesting. So it's all playing out right now. But I don't know, just something to think about. We'll talk about more later.
We can't start making new problems when we haven't fixed the old ones. Jesus.
It's but there's so many cool parts about it. I hope it.
Yeah, it's definitely fun. I'm poking fun, but I think it is really, it is really neat.
Fuck yeah. And then this last piece, it was just kind of throwaway. I figured
this is cool.
This is the artist James Jean. This is probably one of the most successful artists on social media, illustrator. He does sculpture work, some graphic design stuff, but beautiful painter, inker. To me, he's one of the most fun modern artists. He's just so colorful, cartoony, but deep still. I don't know. I just always have loved this artist. My brother showed me him a long time ago, and I just love seeing what he does next. It's just so fun and beautiful.
Yeah. The color, I just noticed thought it was just like a distress in the, like a filterish kind of thing, but it's like a wood grain in the ink there.
There's always, like, his books, everything's embossed just correctly. The colors have texture. The statues have hidden things. I mean, there's like so many unique elements. He just goes so fucking hard. His colors are always beautiful. His characters are so unique. I just think he's so fun. It's not like some of the topics, like, he has some very deep pieces, but they're often very fun pieces.
I just realized I feel like it's hard. You know, there's certain combinations of colors that when you reach the potential of it evoking something. You know, of course, anything that's like a stark green and red contrast, it looks like Christmas.
Right. It's so hard to not.
This has the red, white, and bluish, you know, color scheme. Like, it's got, you know, it's kind of like an off-white, creamish kind of color. But until I was thinking about, like, the color theory behind those colors together, and I first thought about Superman colors, and then I realized, like, oh no, it's yellow, not white, and then I realized, oh fuck, that's American colors, or the flag colors or whatever, you know.
And until you said it out loud, I never would have thought.
Yeah, same. I had to go somewhere else in my head of that before I went there. So to use those colors together and not think of a flag or a thing, like, those are like the three most popular flag colors.
Yeah, it's this beautiful character holding a koi or goldfish, and the fish's colors and patterns are on the person as well, and it felt very reincarnation or afterlife.
Yeah.
So dreamy, just such great, so lovely.
So dreamy.
So dreamy. So I think that does it for Afterlife. I don't know about you. I am ready to close it up.
Yeah, same here.
Cool. Do you got anything to mention on Dishonors? I think I'm okay.
No, fuck all the people. Fuck everybody.
Fuck all the people, all the false idols, fake gods. What about next episode? We got a fun one.
Oh yeah. What is next week?
We're doing entertainment, and we were gonna do old horror movie and a new horror movie.
Yes, I can't wait to watch these movies again.
let's keep them to ourselves
Yeah.
and surprise it.
Yeah.
Okay, but we're gonna look at old horror movies and new horror movies, just a case study of one of each, and then talk about them. So that'll be awesome. Should I go into it?
Yeah, do it.
Cool. Thanks again for listening. We want to thank my brother, John, Approaching Human, for our intro-outro music. You can find his work on SoundCloud at Approaching-Human. Make sure to check our show page, Instagram, at Trash Cats Trashcast. We're putting news, and then we put all the art and links to the artists from each episode. If you're extra bored, you can check out my personal trashy art on Instagram at Skyzix, SKYZICX, and we'll have links to all the cool art we've mentioned today on there, and new episodes every Wednesday, and we'll see you guys then.
That's going to be it today. Stay classy, eat trashy.
Yep.
On
see
God.
you next time,
Bye.
guys. On God. See you. Is there anything else we need to do before?
You get a good clap in. Clap them cheeks, boy.
Clap them cheeks.
I want that to be a sound bite. We need to get a soundboard one day and then have it. Clap them cheeks, boy.